Go for it.
Better tighten this up. Bugs.
Job.
What's the other one?
Nice job.
Well, we have to go down. It's 9 o'clock almost, and we have to go all the way around my Peach's house because I left my stuff there before on the way here. Why one more?
Did you, you know that the nice thing about having the wireless is, you go and play in a hall, you go down the
You
audience.
don't need to sit there and wait by the mic either.
And that's right. You also you walk down and say, "Shit, I'm not loud enough." You know, you got to go up and turn it up. Or somebody else is too loud. You can go up and say, "You're way too loud." It's bugging.
Really good
Yeah, their piano teachers come
Whatever.
up very nice.
Good job. Good job.
May through December. Oh, no, that's right.
Hi, I'm Mary Rombs. I am Ted Nato's daughter. This is the Nato reunion, the long weekend of July in 2012. And I would like to welcome everybody that's come to the family reunion, and I hope everybody has a great time. Thank you.
This is 2012, the Nato reunion. My name is Frank Rollins. I'm the husband of Mary, and her dad was Ted. This is the start of it all. Oliver Nato and Ada Edith, and They had 6 children. Oliver was their first son, and he's deceased. He never had no family. From here, we're going to go to the second son, Ted. Wilford was his right name, and he was married to Marie Simone Arsenal. And this is Dorothy, his first daughter. She's actually a half sister to the rest of the family, and Dorothy was married to Max Lahinsky, and this is their children. Then we go to Ted and Simone's son, the rest of the children. The second child was Peter. Peter was married to Barb. And this is their children. The third son of Ted and Simone is Gordon. He was here at the reunion, and this is his children, and his son Gordon, and then then they have some children, Shannon, Christy, and their children, and so on and so forth. The next son, number 4th child, is Herbert George Nato. They don't have no children. He was married to Kathy. I don't know what Kathy's last name is. The 5th child of Ted's was Richard, and he was deceased as a baby. The next child is Mary Nato. This is where I come in. She's married to me. And this is our children, Riley and Lacey and her little girl, my granddaughter. The 7th child of Ted and Marie's, of Ted's actually, is Beverly. She died as a baby. Next is Jack Nato. His children, Sherry and Rebecca. Marcella is the 9th child, and this is her children. Shannon, Robin, Lisa, Robert. Robin is married to Jody Schwitzernuck. And this is Robin and Jody's children here. Harriet is the 10th daughter, and she has 3 children. Stephanie and her husband, Gary Roberts, and they have 3 children. Carmen, and she's married to Kaylin Milson, and they just had a baby here, June 9th. So it's probably the youngest one that I know of. And then the last girl is Tanya, and she has 1 son, Ryder, and her husband is Josh Ganter. Malvin is married to Janice, and Malvin has 3 children from his first wife, and Janice has 2 children from her first husband. Calvin is the number 12, and his wife is Rosemary, and Melvin has 1 daughter, Miranda, and Rose has 4 children, Tyler, Nikki, Vernon, Crystal, and these are Crystal's children down here. Not least, this Alwood Fraser, he's actually, it's Simone's son. He is a half-brother to the rest of the family. The third son of Oliver and Ada is Albert, known as Bert. And his wife was Evelyn Johnson. Their first child was Ethel, and she was married to John Harlock, and they had 5 children. This is their children here. Robert, he was married to Julie. Susan was married to Howard.
Hang on a sec.
Kevin
Hang on a sec.
was married to Pauline. And Virginia is married to Jake. These are Ethel and John's children here. And Julie, we're going to go back to them, Robert and Julie, because we missed them. This is Jonathan and Stephanie, that's their children. And also, we'll go down to Kevin and Pauline. Their children are Kimberly and Christopher. Marie's second child was Joseph. He was married to Verna Sitter. They have 2 children, Andy and Sandra. Joe is now deceased as of 1984. Number 3 child was Esther. She had 3 children, her and Paul Birchhill. The first child was Patrick. His wife was Lydia. Second child was Timothy, and they have a daughter, Roxanne, and Nina. And I made a mistake there. They only had 2 children. It looked like it was 3 there, but it's only 2. Number 4th child is Marie. She was married to Archie McMillan. And they have 3 children, Rhonda, Pamela, and Dawn. Rhonda was married to Joe Bell, and they have 1 child, Garrity. Pamela was married to Richard Salisbury. They have 2 children, Richard and Robin. Their 3rd child was Dawn. She was married to Stuart Purvis. And they have 2 children, Heath and Rodney. The 5th child of Bert. The 5th child of Bert and Marie was Dorothy. Her husband was Gordon Earl Hoover. Gordon Earl Hoover. Dorothy had we're over here. Dorothy had 4 children. Deborah, and her husband was William Michael Gould, and they had 2 children, Dana and Eric. The second child, Donna, was married to Robert Fairhurst, and they had 2 children, Michael and Christopher. Their 3rd child was Deidre. Her husband was Alan Hurd, and they had 2 children, Chad and Krista. And of course they have children too. The 4th one was Derek Gordon Hoover, and he has, looks like 3 children. The 6th child was James Robert Nato, known as Jimmy. He was married to Elaine Hewen, and she is now deceased. And of course, you'll see there at the start, that yellow sign there, she did a lot of work on the family tree, his first wife. They have 3 children, Laura, Terrence, and Jeanette. And of course, Laura has some children. And also Terrence has some children. The 7th child of Bert and Marie was Diane, and she has 4 children. She was married to Alan Potratz. Their children was Christine, Connie, Jamie, and Robert. And of course, Jamie has some children, and so does Robert. Last but not least, Alan. And she was married to Gordon Garlick, passed away early, and they had 2 children, Mike, and of course he has some children, and Kyle. That was Ellen's 2 daughters, and or 2 children rather, and Ellen, I think her second husband or fiance, I'm not really sure how it worked, but was Motominuk. The 4th child of Oliver and Ada was Nellie. Nellie had 3 husbands. Her first husband was Pete Clark, and we'll run through his family. George was married to Marie, and this is his children here, William, Wayne, and Larry. And of course, Wayne had some children, Ryan, Taya, and Paige. And Larry has some children, Jeffrey and Hillary. We don't have a lot of information on them. Nellie's second husband was Maximum Gladue. Okay, from Nellie to Maximum, their second husband. Okay, their first child was Lawrence, and then Verna, Frank, and had a couple children there, Harry, and George. George was at the reunion, and this is his spouse. We'll go back up here to Verna's family. Verna had a big family. I don't know who her first husband is. It was Debronsky. Her first husband was Tony Debronsky. That's who he was. And they have several children. The first one is Terrence. And this is his wife, Mary. And they have lots of children and grandchildren. Dennis and Tammy is their children, and they have kids. And Verna's second child was Cheryl. And these are her kids. And this is her marriage name, Novak. Elaine. And this is her child. That was number 4. Number 5 is Barbara. Barbara Debronsky, and this is her. She had 5 children. She was married to Mike Brown, and this is all her children and grandchildren. I just don't know how it all goes there. Number 6 is Tony Debronsky, and then we go back to number 7. Verna's 7th child is Gerald, or Neil. They called him Gerald, I don't know. And McGinnis was his name. And that pretty well wraps up Nellie's second husband. Nellie's third husband was George Rowe. George had 3 children before he tagged up with Nellie. Robert, Curtis was his name. George had a son, Curtis, and he had 3 children, Robert, Rhonda, and Roger. And actually, George and Nellie only had 1 son, Melvin. This is Melvin and George's son. These other ones here are George's son. Okay, this was Oliver and Ada's 5th child, Dolly. And Dolly was married to Lloyd Lewis Johnson. And they had 1 son, Reuben Edward, and he is married to Barbara Jewell. And Reuben was here and his wife all weekend helping us out. They have a son, 2 sons actually, Glenn, and Glenn is married to Shelley, and they have a child, Ryan, that's their family. And there's Lloyd's, Reuben's second son is Lloyd, and he's married to Poppy.
Separated.
Anyway, Lloyd's children, he has some children here, Jason, Travis, and Emma. Oliver's 6th child was Daniel, Oliver and Ada. 6th child was Daniel, who was married to Doris. Doris was here this reunion, and I don't know, she's getting close to 90, and she was here. She's in a wheelchair, but I don't know. What's the matter? Daniel and Doris's first child was Marie, and then Shirley, and John, and Jack, and Teresa, and Agnes, and Agnes has some children, Laurent, I don't know for sure, Beverly, and Jason, and Luke, and Lance. Pat, we know her as. This is her family here. Angela, and that's her children. Danielle, and that's his child, her child. And Yvette. Oh, I think this one. Go back here to Daniel. This could be her husband, Michelle. Michelle. Daniel's, it could be his wife, I think, Michelle. And Yvette, and Chris Phillips, and the child was Elizabeth. Rick, he was here with his family. He's all the way from Haines Junction. And this is his children, Christopher, and Cody has a child, and Kelly. And then we go to Corey, Kyle, Ricky, and Tiffany. And Rick had 7 children. Number 9th child of Dan's and Doris was Daniel. His wife was Gloria Keewan. And their children was Danielle and Justin. Gloria had 2 children by the look of it, Charmaine and Marianne. The 10th child was Linda. Her husband is Robin Dugdale, and they have 2 children, Donna Lee and Donna Lee's children, and Robert, and this is his children. Number 11, Marie, this is her children. And Tina, yeah, that's the first one. Tina, going to there, Tina, and that's her children. And Curtis. And that wraps up the Dan Nato family. Okay, last but not least, number 7th child of Oliver and Ada is James Nato. He lived in this country, but he was known as Jim. He was married to Violet Cox, local lady. Their first child was Betty, and Betty was married to a John Landry. He lost him in a traffic accident, and then she got married to Stan Price. But from her first husband, John, she had 4 children. Vanessa, Colette, Sean, and Quentin. And Sean has some children there, of course, and so does Colette, and so does Vanessa. Jim's second child was Wayne Nato. He lives local here, Fairview, and he's married to Linda Greenoff, and they had 1 son, Stacy. Their third child was Glenn, and looks like he had 2 children, Pam and Christopher. He was married to Denise. I don't know what Denise's name was. Their 4th child was Shirley. He was the baby. And this is her children. Number 1, and looks like this is her children. Number 2 child was Trinity, by the look of it. First one was Crystal, then Trinity, and then Trinity's children, here, and Jennifer, and then Gordon. And I think that pretty well wraps it up. That's all we got. There's probably more. We're missing some and all, but that's the best we have for now, and till we have another go-around, I guess. Yeah, we had a real good turnout, a real good family reunion. We had around close to 150 people here at the David Thompson Hall and grounds. About 140 showed up for the supper. We had a potluck supper on the Saturday night, and Sunday morning we had a brunch, some of the leftovers, and then plus hot cakes and eggs and bacon and what. And we had a good turnout for the brunch, and everybody had a good time saying hello, and then pretty soon it's the goodbyes and we'll see you, and pretty well that wrapped up the 2012 Nato family reunion. My wife, ready? My wife Mary, she got lots of this information, but she spent many hours of phoning and writing all this stuff out, and fixing and changing dates and all that kind of stuff, and organizing the food, and she said she's glad we had it, but it's a lot of work and it was some fun, and maybe sometime again somebody will do something.
It went awesome. The turnout was great. There was 134 people and maybe plus. And here we are Monday morning. We're cooking the final breakfast for the ones that are left. We had a great weekend. Awesome. Thank everybody for coming.
A lot of people, we met lots of people, all knew lots of people, a lot of information on history, and yeah, we had a great time. There's a lot of people here, more elderly people and young people. You got to meet all kinds of, on different parts of the family, so it was just great.
They went through a hell of a lot of work. They did a great job. It was a wonderful turnout. I was really glad to meet everybody. People we never knew we even had existed into the family.
We got to build
But I
more of this.
commend these people for such a wonderful job they did.